This is Robyn Leslie with OnlyTheInspired.com. I am here with the amazing Wassim Dabboussi. He is coming to us from Australia, and he's got quite a history, so let's get to know him a little bit more. So in a couple of minutes, describe who you are and how you help people.
Awesome. So first of all, thank you very much, Robyn, for having me on the show. Really, really appreciate taking the time and interviewing me. It's a pleasure to get to know you and speak to your audience. So my name is Wassim Dabboussi from Australia, and what I currently do is I help entrepreneurs find their tribe and find their voice online so they can build a sustainable business online, making a minimum of $10,000 or more online every single month consistently.
Oh, nice, nice. So how did you get started in that? What was the event or kind of the process that got you doing what you do today?
So I started, I got into university for psychology, and I was persuaded by my family not to follow that path. So like many young people, I was easily influenced and did what my parents told me to do. And I went down and did an IT degree, which I did for 4.5 years. I worked in IT for about 1.5 years and I quit after doing a 4.5 year degree. So 6 years of my life were going to something that I don't really, wasn't really passionate about. But I've always been passionate as to understand to why people do what they do and why some people have the success in life and other people don't, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to be a psychologist. So after 1.5 years, I'm like, I've always wanted to help people. So I quit information technology, I quit IT, and I became a high school teacher, thinking, you know what, I'm about to mold the youth and whatnot. But teaching just wasn't for me. My wife and I both became teachers at the same time. She's an extremely excellent teacher, and she's a successful teacher. She's still teaching now, 18 years later, but teaching wasn't the right career for me. So it was during that time where I started doing some soul searching. We had a baby, so my wife took some time off. We had a really, really large mortgage, which we couldn't afford to pay. So we had to move in with my family, with my parents, and rent out a property to be able to continue to own that property and not lose it. So during that time, I was like, I can't live like this, on a wage, and started searching, started looking for a second stream of income and whatnot. I came across network marketing, and through there, I came across personal development. I'd never heard of personal development before, never heard of Tony Robbins. And it was through network marketing I joined. I went to a Tony Robbins event, and that opened my eyes up to so much. And I was like, wow, this is where I need to be. So that was 2003, and that was the beginning of my personal development journey. And I'd already done some sales in the past during high school and uni days. So I've had a bit of sales experience. I was doing network marketing, and I realized my passion for sales and marketing. So ever since then, I've had marketing companies, I've had promotional products businesses, I've owned cafes, I've owned gyms, I've owned online businesses. So I've really fell in love with the business side of things, but I've also in love with the personal development side of things. So for 17 years, I want to follow my passion and help people and become a coach. And like many people, I always gave myself the reason and excuse. When the kids get a little bit older, I want to be more financially free, when we have a bit more money, when the mortgage is a little bit less. So for 17 years, I kept pushing until it got to the point where I found myself jobless about 1.5 years ago. I got a phone call, got called to a meeting, and the next day, within 24 hours, I lost my income. And I was working for a large pharmaceutical company, so I was on a multiple six-figure income, and I lost it overnight. And it was like, well, what do I do now? Do I go get another job, or do I follow my passion? And sat down with my wife and did some soul searching, and then looked into going back to university, doing a psychology degree again. And then I looked at the time frame that's going to take, and I'd have to start from scratch. I'm like, no, I'm not willing to invest that time. But I wanted to do something that I'm still passionate about. So that's where my passion for sales and marketing and my passion for personal development came together. And I started coaching and started coaching businesses and entrepreneurs. I was doing some business coaching before COVID, and the physical bricks and mortar businesses, obviously. And then after COVID, I shifted everything online. And that's why now I'm helping entrepreneurs get online, because I lost everything when COVID hit. I had my gym closed down. I lost 90% of my clients because they were brick and mortar businesses and they had to pause. They're starting to come back online now. And I had to pivot my business. Like, I lost all my income within 3 days. And by the end of April, we had made $39,000.
Oh, wow.
So we were able to pivot really, really fast and move online and make them within 10 days. So it took about 3 weeks to plan our program, plan how we're going to do it. And then when we launched it, within 10 days, we made $39,000 in the last 10 days of April.
Fantastic. It's interesting how life works, and you dabble in here and there, and then through the pressure, that's when you make a major shift. And a lot of people feel that way. And I was blessed when I was 17, I got into Amway. So in 1989, that was my first experience with network marketing and my first experience with this personal development, self-improvement field, and it completely changed the way I looked at my life for the last 31 years, since I was 3. Just joking. So I love that. I love that. Quite a diverse background, and to be a school teacher and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes you have to try something before you realize it's not for you. And sometimes you just really don't understand that until you're in it. It's like, no, I'm not feeling this. And so you have to listen to your gut. And that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, 100%. Look, and I have no regrets. I mean, if I hadn't gone down the path I went down, I won't be where I am today. And I'm very, very fortunate because I've had so many life experiences. I've traveled the world through my jobs. I've had different experiences in different businesses. I've traveled the world for personal development. I've traveled the world for courses. So, I don't regret where I am. I mean, I wouldn't be where I am today, being able to give so much value, if I hadn't gone down that path, and I hadn't had the journey that I had. So at the end of the day, for me, I have no regrets, because every time I did something, I was like, you know what, I want to give it a go. And then if you worked, you worked. If you didn't, it didn't.
Right. And even if it didn't, you got that education in that field. And so it broadens your horizon because you can see things from a different perspective. So
100%.
describe your ultimate vision for your business now that you're more focused online, for one, unless the World Wide Web blows up, and then, but that most likely is not going to happen. But what's your ultimate vision now from where you stand?
Well, yeah, I mean, most likely it won't happen, but we don't know COVID is going to happen either. So, there could be an COVID down the road somewhere, and, the internet might be down.
Right.
So I think the biggest lesson for me is to be agile, to be flexible, to be able to move fast, because one of the things right now, especially during this COVID period and post-COVID, is going to be the fast are going to eat the slow. Those that move fast are going to win. The ones that pivot as fast as possible. So my ultimate vision for my business, to answer your question, is first of all, I have a vision of helping 100,000 entrepreneurs. That's my ultimate vision. If I can help 100,000 entrepreneurs become sales and marketing ninjas, have the entrepreneurial spirit and the entrepreneurial mindset, so they can withstand whatever challenges the market throws at them, then I've achieved my goal.
And
by doing that, I can actually inspire my kids, and I can live an inspirational life. And then by living an inspirational life, I can inspire others around me. And my biggest why is I want my boys. I got 3 young boys, 16, 14, and 8. And I want them to remember that time that dad lost his job, but was able to turn things around for the family, and he did it on his own. He didn't need to go for help, didn't need to ask for a job. It showed them that you can do anything you want if you put your mind to it.
And from that struggle, created a legacy for them.
That's right.
And your grandkids, yes, absolutely. So what beliefs do you have that set you apart from your competition? So there's a lot of people that do sales and marketing, and I believe much more in collaboration than competition. But what do you think your beliefs are? What kind of sets you apart from all of the other people that are doing what you do?
That's a good question, and I think probably the answer to that would be a lot of sales and marketing guys out there are very, very well polished. They well dressed. They've always got the three-piece suit on. I don't come from that side. I'm like, sales and marketing isn't about. I mean, you've got to dress correct for the occasion. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying walk into, if you walk into a big corporation, you don't walk in with ripped jeans and a t-shirt. But if I'm walking into the local gym, for example, or I'm walking into a local mechanic and I'm going to do a presentation there, I'll walk in with jeans and a t-shirt. But I don't believe in setting yourself so high, being well polished, because a lot of people find that intimidating and they can't connect. So I'm more about being real and more about building relationships and making the sale where it's a win-win-win for both. So it's a win for the client, it's a win for me, and therefore it's a win for the business and win for their clients.
Awesome. And that is very true. A lot of times, we're instantly more comfortable with somebody that looks like us and talks like us versus somebody that's all stuffy. So what was the hardest thing to overcome when starting your business?
Limiting beliefs, self-doubt. That's probably the hardest. And whenever you start a business, there's a lot of questions, and I think especially with the social media and social proof, as humans, we live by social proof. So social proof is a big thing for us. I was listening to a podcast this morning by Tony Robbins, and he's talking about how social proof is one of the biggest things that influences people. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, when they get online, especially right now, and they see what other people are doing, they start to compare themselves. And I did that. When I first started in business, I kept comparing myself to those that were 5, 10, 15 years ahead of me. And one of the biggest mistakes I did back then was compare myself to them. And that deflated me and deflated my motivation, my self-confidence, and my self-belief. So the biggest thing I have to overcome is to compare myself to myself. How can I get better every single day? Not how can I get better versus, my business coach who's been doing this for 10 years ago. How can I get better against me? And once I competed with myself, then everything changed.
Oh, that's incredible. I think so many people are going to resonate with that. And I've done that too. You see these other people just kicking ass online and, it's just a struggle sometimes. And so, when you compare yourself, you didn't actually see the years that they put into it before they were successful. And so it's a misconstrued comparison.
And that's something actually, that's a very, very good point. And I think one of my biggest takeaways was there was a particular successful entrepreneur online, and I've been watching his stuff and I've been following him, and I really resonated with some of the stuff that he does and how high-end his program was, and everything looked so pristine. I'm like, man, how the hell am I ever going to get to that? And then I was doing some research on him, and I put his name in YouTube. I came across a podcast or a YouTube video he did from like 10 years ago. And I looked at that and I'm like, wow, like the quality, the background, he was in this little shack. Like you could tell that he was struggling because the apartment that he was in was, it was all shabby and the paint was peeling off. And then you see where he is today. I'm like, and that gave me confidence. I'm like, you know what? He could do that. He did it 10 years ago. I'm trying to compare myself to him now. I'm not doing myself justice. He's got the big studios now. He's got, all these employees. But where did he start off?
Right. Well, and so when I decided to become a coach, it was at a Tony Robbins event. You know, if I could do what Tony Robbins does, but I have to actually realize he's got 35 years ahead of me. So it wasn't an overnight thing, and it was a struggle for him in the beginning. And so, yeah, you have to look at that. And I'm glad you found that video, because I have some of those fun videos.
Yeah, even Tony Robbins, I was speaking to someone here in Australia, and they went to the first ever Tony Robbins seminar back in like 91 when he first came out to Australia, and he was like 30 people in a room in a city hotel in Kings. It was like even King's Cross, which is like the red light district in Sydney. So it was, in a shady area of town, 20 or 30 people in town, and that's where Tony Robbins was. Yeah, and that was 30 years ago, almost 30 years ago. So yeah, you can't compete. You can't compare yourself to where they are now.
No,
Aspire to be like that, but remember where they started.
exactly, exactly. So this question I ask everybody, because some people have it and some people don't. So do you have the support of as the support network of friends and family that are saying, you know, go for this, Wassim, or are you kind of doing it all on your own because this is, and I'm sure I know the answer, or is it a decision, I'm doing this, I don't care if I don't get the support, you know, because some people have no cheerleaders, some have that support. So I'm just curious where you are.
I have to say I'm extremely, extremely grateful and extremely, extremely blessed. I thank God every single day that I do have that support network. I have an amazing wife who is my biggest cheerleader. She's my rock. She stands by my side. She picks me up when I'm down, and I have the support of my children. One of my biggest moments. When I first started in business back in 2003 onwards, it was my mindset that told me I didn't have the support. And then after years, when I spoke to her, she's like, "Why are you talking like that?" She's like, "I always supported you. I had to change. I had to shift my thinking." So I went from thinking I had no support, but realized that it was me telling myself that. And I think a lot of people, they just question what they're perceiving from their family and have that conversation. I think there'll be a big difference, because if they communicate with their family the reason why they're doing it, then I'm pretty sure 90% of the time people will say, okay, you know what, I support that. As long as the family understands there's clear communication, this is what I'm doing, this is the goal, this is what we're going to get to, this is what we're going to do. But if they just think you're chasing a pipe dream, that's where you're probably not going to get support. So when I started this latest business that I'm in, I knew I had my wife's support. She was there for me. She put in hours. She helped me on the weekends because she's a high school teacher, so she works full time. But she was there for me the whole time. And the biggest two moments in my life that really resonate, we walked out of a seminar. So I took my whole family to this National Achievers Congress that they hold out in Australia. And it's just a day with about 4 or 5 or 6 different speakers. So we went all of us together last year. And I remember walking out one of the breaks, and my kids knew I had aspirations to become a speaker. And I remember my two eldest boys, my middle child and my eldest child, they looked at me on one of the breaks and like, "Dad," after one of the speakers had a massive rush at the table and everything else, and they said, "Dad, do not get a job. Dad, this is what you're meant to do." And like, that was wow. Like, these are 14, 16-year-old boys. And then when I had my first solo seminar, when I ran my own first event, we had a room about 60, 70 people in there. And my boys at the end of that, they go, "You know what, Dad, you made us cry twice tonight."
Yay!
And they go, seeing you on stage, and even my eldest son, who doesn't really open up about his emotions a lot, he's like, he goes, you made my eyes tear up tonight. I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "I was just so happy for you seeing you on stage." And like, for me, that means more than anything else. To have my two kids, and then my youngest one, he's running around like he's he's 8.5 now. I've got him on stage. He was so excited, and the smile on his face that I was able to provide this opportunity for him. That's what makes me do what I do. It's those little moments.
Yeah, and you are a total inspiration for them, which everybody needs it. You know, if your inspiration, and that's one of the questions coming up, can be your parent, that's just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your favorite thing about your business?
The conversations I have with people and watching the light bulb moments. You know, like when I'm coaching my clients, or you know, I do a group coaching program, but my clients also get access to me on an individual level, and it's those moments when sorry, I just got distracted. So, you know, it's watching those light bulb moments pop out for my clients that makes a massive difference. When I see shift in what they're doing and they have an understanding of where they're going to go and they get clarity on their business and then I see them succeed, that's what makes them live for the moment.
Awesome. Yes. Okay, so what inspires you? What are you passionate about? And it doesn't have to be business. I'm just curious, what inspires you? What are you passionate about?
Yeah, what inspires me is, and I'm sure you'll resonate with this. If you remember at your first Tony Robbins event, you know, something that resonated with you, and that usually sticks with people. For me, there's a lot of things that resonated that first weekend I did UPW, but one of the things that really resonated was the Kanai concept, constant, never-ending improvement.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something I've really taken on and embodied in as many parts of my life as possible, and I keep adding it to new parts. Um, so that constant never-ending improvement is a philosophy I live by, and that really inspires me every day to how can I get better? How can my relationship with my wife be better today? How can we have more love, more connection, you know, etc. between us every single day. And that's something we've taken on and made our relationship skyrocket. I do that with my kids. How can I have better connection with my kids? How can I have better health? How can my business get better? You know, I'm always looking for ways. I have 4 coaches myself, you know, that help me in different areas of my life and different parts of my business. So it's that constant, never-ending improvement. Understand that you're never going to be perfect.
You're never going to be perfect, but I do believe, it's one of my beliefs, that we are here to become the best that we can be, not to coast and do nothing. And that is why my tribe, and it took a while to figure out my tribe, are those who are inspired, those who are moving forward, even if they're, you know, not changing their careers or whatever. It's the ones that are constantly moving forward. And I believe that's our obligation, to be here on this planet. You leave it better than you can. Become the best dad, the best husband, the best father. Yeah, and I think that's incredible. So who inspires you?
There's so many people that inspire me. Obviously, you know, there's people like, you know, I come from an Arab background. I was born in Lebanon. So obviously there's people in the Arab history and the history of, you know, of the Middle East. It has a lot of things to do with that. I'm inspired by a lot of that. But also modern leaders like, you know, people like Tony Robbins. You know, every time, you know, one of my coaches actually grew up in Lake Tahoe, from where close to where you are. Um, he's one of my personal coaches in America. These people who've made it, who've gone from rags to riches, I look at their story and try and find the gold in that. But my biggest inspiration is probably my wife. She's an absolutely amazing woman. She's a powerhouse. The things that she does, you know, she's gone through so much adversity in her life. She's a leader in her work. She can lead a whole school and lead and lead a family, be mother and family, and not let her ego get in the way. And I look at her and I'm like, you are so humble for everything that you've done. So she really inspires me.
I love that. So, and this is a big question, if you could leave one tip or one golden nugget for the people listening, and it was the only thing that you could say and the only chance you had to say it, what would that be?
Your life is a blank canvas. We are all given a blank canvas when we're born. It's up to you to paint a masterpiece.
And you can do it. believe that you could do that. Incredible. So I know you have a couple gifts to give everybody listening. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we tell people?
No, I'm good. So I do have I have two ebooks that I'm going to give away to people to listen to tonight. So one is more for entrepreneurs, called The 6 Deadly Mistakes Entrepreneurs Make and How to Avoid Them. So that one is available directly on my website, wassimdabboussi.com. That's WASS for Sydney, IM, D for Doctor, ABBOUSSI.com. So just go onto my homepage and it'll be there, top of the homepage, so just to opt in for that and it gets emailed to you. The other one is my Peak Performance Secrets ebook, and that one's more for general people who are inspired and they're not necessarily in business, but they just want to up-level their life. And that one is available on bit.ly/WD free book. So WD, my initials, WD, and then free, FREE, book, BOOK. And that one gets delivered via Messenger. So you just log into that and it gets into you via your Facebook Messenger.
Awesome. I appreciate you. Yeah, that's incredible that you're doing that. I can't wait to see them myself. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time and your knowledge and your wisdom and your heart in what you do, because sales and marketing, it's a whole monster all on its own that people struggle with, but they need to know how to do it, especially if you're a brick and mortar, or especially if you're just starting out. It is one of those things that you have to know how to do, and sometimes people really struggle with that. So it's awesome that you help them.
Yeah, and honestly, it's one of the best for me. Sales is one of the most important skills in life. For relationships, for anything. Once you understand the skill of selling and understanding your prospects or the person that you're talking to, understanding their pain point and understanding how you can resolve that pain point, you're going to be able to build amazing relationships. So if you haven't done any sales and marketing, I highly, highly recommend that you do learn sales. It's very, very important for every aspect of your life. 20 years I've been married, been with my wife 23 years. And I say to everybody, I have to sell myself to her every single day.
And I'm sure she appreciates it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And please, I'll mention those websites again. So for the 6 deadly mistakes that entrepreneurs make and how to avoid them, go to wassimdabboussi.com. It's WASSIMDABBOUSSI.com, and there'll be a thing right on the front page where you could put in your name and email and get that. And then the other one, Peak Performance Secrets, and that is served through Messenger, but you go there by bit.ly, bit.ly/WD free book, FREEBOOK. And definitely jump on that and see what you get from that. And thank you very much. We appreciate you being here. See you next time.